In a high-intensity conflict across NATO's frozen frontiers, a fighter jet is only as good as its engine's ability to survive. While other stealth jets require pristine hangars, the Gripen E and its F414 turbofan are designed for the dirt. Can your Air Force swap an entire engine on a snowy highway in under an hour? Sweden can. What if the secret to NATO's aerial dominance isn't stealth, but simplicity? By choosing the rugged GE F414 power plant, the Gripen E has become a master of decentralized warfare. We're diving into the brilliant engineering that allows this fighter to operate from remote road bases, proving that maintenance speed is the ultimate weapon in contested skies. Imagine a world where air bases are the first targets destroyed. In this 2026 landscape, the Gripen E becomes NATO's most resilient asset because it doesn't need a runway to stay in the fight. Discover how its unique engine choice ensures sustained sorties from austere environments, turning every highway into a lethal, unpredictable launchpad for victory.
Welcome to SkyJet Wings. In modern air warfare, everyone talks about stealth. Everyone talks about radar signature, fifth-generation sensors, and billion-dollar platforms hidden inside hardened shelters. But what happens when those shelters are destroyed? What happens when the main runway is cratered? What happens when the enemy's first strike is not aimed at your aircraft, but at the place your aircraft needs to survive? This is where Sweden's Gripen E becomes one of the most dangerous fighters in Europe. Not because it is the biggest, not because it is the most expensive, but because it was built around one brutal idea. A fighter jet is only useful if it can keep flying after the first missile attack. At the heart of that survival philosophy is an American engine inside a Swedish war machine, the F414 GE39E. The Gripen E did not receive this engine by accident. Saab needed something proven, powerful, compact, and reliable enough for a very specific kind of war. Sweden was not designing a fighter only for polished airbases. It was designing a jet that could disappear into forests, land on highways, refuel beside trees, and return to combat before the enemy even understood where it had gone. That is why the F414 matters. This engine gives the Gripen E a serious power boost compared with earlier Gripen variants. More thrust means the aircraft can carry heavier weapons, more fuel, and more advanced systems without losing the short takeoff logic that makes Gripen special. In simple words, the jet becomes stronger without becoming helpless. But power alone is not enough. In a remote Arctic environment, the aircraft must start in freezing conditions, work without a perfect maintenance shelter, and be monitored before failure happens, not after. Digital engine monitoring becomes more than a technical feature. It becomes a survival system. Because in a future war, the difference between victory and defeat may not be who owns the most advanced aircraft. It may be who can keep aircraft alive when the airbase is burning. Sweden understood this long before many others. During the Cold War, Sweden developed the Boss 60 and later Boss 90 dispersed operations doctrine. The idea was simple but terrifyingly effective. Never allow the Air Force to be trapped in one place. If the enemy attacks the main air bases, Swedish fighters spread out to road bases, forest strips, and temporary landing zones. This is not a marketing trick. This is a national survival strategy. The Gripen was designed around that logic. It can take off and land from short road strips, operate with limited ground equipment, and return to the sky quickly. Its landing gear is built for rougher conditions. Its air intake design helps reduce the danger of debris ingestion from imperfect surfaces. Its support system is built around small crews, not giant maintenance armies. Now imagine the scene. Snow is falling somewhere in northern Sweden. A Gripen E lands on a cold highway strip hidden between trees. There is no massive hangar, no luxury airbase, no long line of support vehicles, just a small team waiting in the freezing air. The pilot shuts down. The crew moves in. Fuel, weapons, inspection, data checks. Minutes later, the fighter is ready again. This is where Gripen becomes different from many modern combat aircraft. Some fighters are masterpieces of technology, but they demand perfect conditions. Gripen accepts that war is messy. It accepts that runways will be targeted. It accepts that supply chains will be stressed. It accepts that survival depends on speed, simplicity, and discipline.
And then comes one of Gripen's most dramatic strengths, the field-level engine replacement. Saab's support philosophy allows complex systems, including the engine, to be replaced in about 1 hour. Think about that for a second. An engine is the heart of a fighter jet. In many air forces, replacing it can become a depot-level job, requiring specialized facilities, large teams, and serious downtime. But Gripen was built so that even major maintenance could happen closer to the battlefield. This is not just engineering. This is strategy. A modular engine mounting system means crews can disconnect, remove, replace, reconnect, test, and return the aircraft to service far faster than most people expect. The jet does not have to wait helplessly for a perfect repair environment. It can be brought back into the fight from the edge of a road base. That is the real meaning of combat availability. Not how powerful a fighter looks at an air show, not how impressive it appears in a brochure, but how many times it can launch when the enemy is trying to stop it. And now, this old Swedish logic is becoming more important than ever. Europe is watching the war in Ukraine. NATO is studying how precision weapons can threaten large fixed air bases. Long-range missiles, drones, and satellite-guided weapons have changed the battlefield. A runway is no longer safe just because it is far behind the front line. This is why Gripen E suddenly feels less like a small fighter and more like a warning to the future.
In 2026, Gripen is no longer just a Swedish story. Brazil has unveiled its first locally produced Gripen E. The first Gripen F has been rolled out for Brazil, and Sweden and Ukraine have taken steps toward a possible Ukrainian Gripen acquisition. These developments show that Gripen is moving from a niche European fighter into a broader strategic platform, and the engine plays a huge role in that story. The F414 family is used across multiple Allied aircraft programs, which means supply chain familiarity matters. In a major NATO conflict, common engines, shared parts knowledge, and established maintenance experience can reduce pressure on logistics. During a blockade or high-intensity conflict, this can be decisive. Because wars are not won only by aircraft performance. Wars are won by fuel trucks, mechanics, spare parts, and exhausted ground crews who keep machines alive at 3 in the morning. That is the human side people forget. Behind every fighter jet is a pilot trusting the aircraft. Behind every pilot is a mechanic trusting the engine. Behind every sortie is a team of ordinary people doing extraordinary work under pressure. This is why Gripen's simplicity is not weakness, it is respect for reality. The Gripen E does not try to win by being untouchable. It tries to win by being hard to find, hard to kill, easy to maintain, and fast to relaunch. It combines American engine power with Swedish survival design. It is not built around the fantasy that war will be clean. It is built around the truth that war destroys comfort first. A fifth-generation fighter may dominate the sky when everything works, but a road-based fighter like Gripen asks a different question. Can you still fight when nothing works? When the runway is gone? When the hangar is gone? When the enemy believes your air force has been neutralized?
That is where Gripen's deterrence begins, because if an adversary cannot easily destroy your air force on the ground, then the first strike loses its certainty. If your jets can scatter into forests, launch from roads, and return to combat with small crews, then the enemy must hunt shadows. And hunting shadows is expensive, exhausting, and dangerous. So the Gripen E's most lethal feature may not be one missile, one radar, or one sensor. It may be resilience, the ability to survive, the ability to return, the ability to keep fighting when a more delicate system would be waiting for repair. And in the modern contested battle space, that may be the ultimate deterrent. Because sometimes the most powerful weapon is not the aircraft that looks invisible on radar. Sometimes it is the aircraft that refuses to disappear from the war. This is SkyJet Wings. If you believe the future of air combat will be decided not only by stealth, but by survival, logistics, and human courage, then like this video, subscribe to SkyJet Wings, and share your thoughts in the comments. Would you choose the ultra-advanced fighter that needs perfect bases, or the fighter that can fight from a forest road? The next war may answer that question.